Thanks for taking a little bit of time to view this video. I hope it's useful. I want to talk to you about 4 books that were useful to me as I started my dissertation here I am very early in my career, that I thought might be useful to share with you. The first is one you may not have heard of, very inexpensive, very easy. It's called The Dissertation Journey, and I'll go into a little bit more detail with this one. Next up would be, as you format your dissertation, this seems obvious, but there's actually a chapter in here you may never have even looked at that's vital, that I didn't know about, that helped me immensely while I was doing my dissertation. The next one is, as you are early in your career, learning how to apprentice with master academics, which you're already involved with, but there's a good set of patterns and ideas for becoming an apprentice and working with mentors that I thought was very interesting. And finally, a nice throwaway, simple book, Speaking Up Without Freaking Out. And this is good if you have anxiety about speaking at conferences or want to do a better job. So let me go through these books in more detail for you before our meeting. Okay, this is another simple book, The Dissertation Journey by Carol Roberts. It goes through the American-style dissertation, which won't be so useful to you, but it deals with a lot of emotional and the feelings issues that you're having as a graduate student and dealing with the dissertation. So topics like avoiding the hazards of procrastination, emotional barriers, writer's block, how to form dissertation support groups. So about half of this is logistical, but half, again, is your feelings as you work through the process, because it is a very emotional process. Was for me. Anyway, this book was helpful. It's a nice chicken soup for the soul of the dissertation writer. Here's a book obviously you've heard of, the APA Publication Manual. One thing I didn't realize when I started the journey on the dissertation, that everything I needed to know about formatting tables and charts was here. And in this current version, I think we're looking at chapter, what's this, edition 6, chapter 5, displaying results. So, if you don't know about charts, graphs, font, sizes, all those sorts of things, they're all right in here. So if you're using APA style, be sure to check out chapter 5, displaying results, which is not well known. Okay, so here's a book you probably would pass by if you walked by it at the bookstore, but I think it's very, very pertinent to the journey of becoming a doctor, finishing your dissertation, and really early in your career. I consider myself early in my career, and I get a lot of guidance from this. It's called The Apprenticeship Patterns, Guidance for blah, 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 Craftsmen. So people who make things for a living, and you make things for a living, you will as an academic and as a writer. This is by David Hoover, and it's published by O'Reilly, Apprenticeship Patterns. It's filled with some very, very interesting advice for people who make software, but also for people who make just about anything. So here's a listing of the raw patterns. For instance, the white belt. You are struggling to learn because the experience you have seems to have somehow made it harder for you to acquire new skills. This is also called the beginner's mind. I like that. Here's another set of patterns. For instance, study the classics. The experienced people around you are constantly referring to concepts from books that they assume you have read. It's interesting to go back to the classics. I found this up at Stanford Bookstore, down in the stacks for courses in the extension. So the summer courses, I don't know what course it was for, but they were offering this book for working professionals, textbook. Speaking Up Without Freaking Out by Matt Abrams, and it's 25 techniques for confident, calm, and competent presenting. And I really like here on page 49, anxiety management techniques. So engage in focused practice. Chunk your presentation into logical units such as introduction, conclusion, point 1, transitions, etc. Practice each part until you feel comfortable and more relaxed with each chunk. So it's nice. It's got a lot of small pointers. It's very consumer focused. If you feel anxious or you don't have fun presenting, take a look at this book. Not very expensive. I give it in my classes as an optional text whenever I require students to present. It's a nice book.